399 Siricius, Pope 384-99 and saint whose feast day is November 26, dies at about 65. 666 Yeon Gaesomun, dictator of Goguryeo. Other sources indicate death date as 664 or 665. In 1126 Al-Borsoki, emir of Aleppo-Mosoel, assassinated. In 1252 Blanche of Castile, queen of Louis VIII of France, regent to son Louis IX, dies at 64. In 1267 Gozzolini Silvester, Italian hermit saint, dies. In 1326 Hugh the Younger Despenser, English knight b. 1286, Queen of Castile 1479-1504, patron of Christopher Columbus, who initiated the Spanish Inquisition with husband Ferdinand II of Aragon, dies at 53. In 1621 Radulph Agas, English surveyor c. 1540. In 1639 John Spottiswoode, Scottish historian b. 1565. In 1651 Henry Ireton, English general and parliament leader Marston Moor, dies at 40. In 1653 Maximilian Teellinck, vicar, dies at about 51. In 1674 Philip Julius van Lichtenbergh, governor of Suriname, dies at 37. In 1688 Philippe Quinault, French playwright L'Amant Indiscreet, dies at 53. In 1689 Marquard Gude, German archaeologist and classical scholar famous for his collection of Greek and Latin inscriptions, dies at 54. In 1717 Daniel Purcell, British composer b. 1664. In 1719 John Hudson, British classical scholar b. 1662. In 1776 Dov-Beer of Mezhayet, Hasidic rabbi, dies. In 1778 Gino L. Hamel, Walloon composer and music director, St. Lambert Cathedral, dies at 68. In 1780 James Stewart, Scottish economist, wrote first systematic treatise on economics in English, dies at 73. In 1807 Oliver Ellsworth, 3rd Chief Justice Supreme Court 1796-1800, dies at 62. In 1809 Nicolas Marie d'Alerac, French composer, dies at 56. In 1810 Nicolas Etienne Framery, French composer, dies at 65. In 1821 Friedrich Heine, German composer, dies at 57. In 1822 Johann Baptist Henneberg, Austrian composer, dies at 53. In 1836 John Loudon McAdam, Scottish engineer and road builder who created Macadam Road surface asphalt, dies at 80. In 1851 Nicolas Jean de Jussault, French Marshal, 10th Prime Minister of France, dies at 82. In 1854 Mathilde Siegenbeek, Dutch linguist set out official Dutch spelling, dies at 80. In 1855 Adam B. Mickiewicz, Polish poet, Polish Legion, dies at 56. In 1857 Joseph Freiherr von Eichendorff, German romantic poet, that friar, dies at 69. In 1866 Adrien Fran Oy Servais, Belgian composer, dies at 59. In 1866 Carl Jonas Love Almquist, Swedish composer Torn Rosensbach, dies at 72. In 1880 Guilherme Kossel, Portuguese composer, dies at 52. In 1882 Otto Theodor von Manteuffel, Prussian conservative statesman and minister-president of the Kingdom of Prussia 1850-88, dies at 77. In 1885 Thomas Andrews, Irish chemist and physicist ozone, dies at 71. In 1892 Charles Lavigerie, French Catholic cardinal, dies at 67. In 1896 Coventry Patmore, English poet and critic, The Angel in the House, dies at 73. In 1902 Tanas Baranauskas, Lithuanian bishop, poet Enoch I. Eilis, and dialectologist, dies at 67. In 1917 Leander Starr Jameson, British colonial politician, led Jameson raid in attempt to overthrow Boer Transvaal government, Prime Minister of Cape Colony 1904-08, dies at 64. In 1918 Charlie MacLeod, cricketer all-rounder for Australia 1894-1905, dies. In 1920, Howard Taylor, American tennis player, US national sea ships doubles 1879, singles 1884, 86, 87, 88 runner-up, dies at 55. In 1923, Alexander Amfitatrov, Russian-Italian journalist, newspaper editor, novelist, and historian, dies at 60. In 1925, Johannes Harklew, Norwegian organist, composer, and educator, dies at 78. In 1925, Vajiravad, 6th king of Siam from the Chakra dynasty 1910-25, dies at 44. In 1926, John M. Browning, American weapons manufacturer, dies at 71. In 1927, Jean-Louis Pissuis, Dutch cabaret singer and comedian M.N. East I, the French governess, killed along with his wife by her jilted lover at 47. In 1929, Michele Esposito, Italian composer who worked in Ireland, dies at 74. In 1933, Edward Julius Biederman, American organist and composer, dies at 84. In 1934, Mikhailo Hrushevsky, Ukrainian historian and statesman, dies at 68. In 1938, Henry Schultz, American economist econometrics, dies at 45. In 1940, Harold Sidney Hamsworth, 1st Viscount Rothermere, English newspaper Daily Mail and Daily Mirror, dies at 72. In 1941, Ernest Lapointe, French-Canadian politician, Attorney General of Canada 1935-41, dies at 65. In 1941, Niels Hansen Jacobsen, Danish sculptor and ceramist Trold, Der Vedra Christenblad, dies at 80. In 1943, Edward H. Butch O'Hare, US pilot LT Commodore, dies in battle. In 1944, Edward Johnston, British craftsman regarded as the father of modern calligraphy Johnston typeface, dies at 72. In 1950, Hedwig Korsmaler, German romantic novelist whose novel sold 80 million copies, dies at 83. In 1952, Sven Hedin, Swedish scientist and explorer who travelled and mapped Central Asia Atlas, dies at 87. In 1954, Bill Doak, American baseball pitcher NLERA leader 1914-21, St. Louis Cardinals, dies at 63. American trombonist and big band bandleader Opus No. 1, I'll Never Smile Again, yes, indeed, dies at 51. In 1957, Alexei M. Remizov, Russian author Ivan, dies at 80. In 1957, Billy Bevan, Australian actor Terror by Night, White Sin, dies at 70. In 1959, Albert Kit L.B., British composer in a monastery garden, dies at 84. In 1960, Helen Hellwig, American tennis player, US Nazi ship 1894, dies at 86. In 1961, Alexander Borisovich Goldenweiser, Russian Soviet pianist, composer, and teacher, dies at 86. In 1962, Albert Sarraut, French radical politician, Prime Minister of France 1933 and 1936, dies at 90. In 1963, Emilita Gallicursai, Italian-American operatic soprano Cave of the Winds, dies at 81. In 1965, Wild Bill Elliott Gordon Nance, American actor, Beyond the Sacramento, dies of cancer at 60. In 1966, Harold Burridge, American R&B singer,